Unit 7, Reading 2.
Alaska's Pebble Mine, Minerals versus Nature. Alaska's Bristol Bay region is located on the Bering Sea in the state's southwest corner. It is rich with large reserves of natural resources. One of those resources, the world's largest sockeye salmon fishery, generates an estimated $1.5 billion annually. The thousands of acres of surrounding wetlands, ponds, and lakes are treasured because there isn't much untouched land left in America. Bristol Bay is also home to a large population of Alaska natives, whose cultures and lifestyles revolve around the region's wildness, and especially its salmon. Those are the living, breathing resources of Bristol Bay. And then there are the inorganic resources, oil and gas and mineral deposits. These are not yet fully explored, but they represent much more wealth than Alaska is receiving now. A deposit of gold, molybdenum, and copper has been discovered in Bristol Bay. In fact, it is the largest known untapped copper deposit in the world. It's known as the Pebble Prospect. A Canadian company called Northern Dynasty Minerals started exploring the area in 2000. The corporation's plans to build the Pebble Mine have yet to progress much beyond the idea stage. The Pebble Mine hasn't been built yet because the process of getting state and federal permits for a project of this size is long. The project is also highly controversial. The mine pits two of Alaska's biggest industries, fishing and mining, against each other in a classic resource war. Both are extractive, but only fishing is sustainable. Weighing gold against salmon is weighing money against nature. According to some, deciding whether to mine ought to be left to Alaskans. They will feel the effects either way. The Pebble Partnership promises to create jobs and bring in revenue. The state residents should know best whether this would do more long-term good than the protection of salmon stocks and preservation of untouched land. Polls have shown that the majority of Alaskans oppose the mine. However, in 2010, concerned Alaskans decided that the federal government needed to intervene. An unlikely alliance of commercial fishermen, native tribes, and concerned citizens joined together. They decided that their best hope for stopping the Pebble Mine was to get the federal government to step in. The alliance petitioned the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, to conduct a preliminary investigation. It would look at the potential ecological impact of a large-scale mining operation in Bristol Bay. The agency could shut down the Pebble Mine project by determining that it would have unacceptable negative effects on the Bristol Bay watershed. In the spring of 2013, the EPA released a draft of its watershed assessment. It indicated that the mine would have an overwhelmingly negative impact on the Bristol Bay watershed. EPA Administrator Gina McCarthy said in a statement, "Extensive scientific study has given us ample reason to believe that the Pebble Mine would likely have significant and negative impacts on the Bristol Bay watershed and its abundant salmon fisheries. This process is not something the agency does very often, but Bristol Bay is an extraordinary and unique resource." It isn't surprising that companies have been fighting to mine the rich deposits of gold and copper in Bristol Bay for more than a decade. But the most recent development in the Pebble Mine story delivered a small shock. On February 28, 2014, the agency did what environmentalists hoped and what the Pebble Partnership dreaded it would. It temporarily prevented the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers from issuing any mining permits in Bristol Bay. That effectively halts the development process. However, this action is not a final decision. Northern Dynasty CEO Tom Collier said his company is not going to give up on its plan. According to the Associated Press, Collier said the EPA's actions to date have gone well outside of its normal practice, have been biased throughout, and have been unduly influenced by environmental advocacy organizations. He also said that he remains confident about the future of the mine and that his company will continue to try and gain the EPA's approval to move forward. If anything, this is the beginning, not the end, of the Pebble Mine controversy. According to nature writer and longtime Alaska resident Bill Sherwinett, ultimately, for Alaskans, the issue will boil down to this. Do the benefits of tapping into one of the planet's richest mineral lodes outweigh the risks to one of the world's last great fisheries?